I'll be kind of weirdly here so the eye-line works. So just to get the intro, can you just give us your name and a little bit on your background, sir?
My name's Charles Lauder. I am, amongst other things, a film, television and theatre director. Friend, yes, I'd say friend of Trixie's from way back when he was writing Desmond's and Pork Pie, which is one of the first independent productions that I directed.
And what was the process like for you in the judging of the Grammys? How did you find it?
It was incredibly stimulating. It was a joy. The variety of films that I was fortunate, and I was speaking to a couple of the Graddies a moment ago, and the word privilege came up, and I felt privileged to have been in a position to see their work. I continue to be amazed by how clever, creative, vibrant the work that young filmmakers produce is, and it definitely stimulates and persuades me that maybe I should get behind a camera and direct something again soon.
Seeing the films that you saw, how does that stand the British film industry going forward?
I think I'll caveat my response by saying that I think the British film industry kind of stumbles on these eras when it's lauded around the world. I query the extent to which it's valued as it might be in the wider sense. I don't think it's supported nearly enough. Every once in a while it gets that kind of support. I feel for the young people because I think there's a huge amount of talent, and I think it's becoming more and more increasingly difficult for them to get the kind of support, the funding, the sponsorships. I was just saying to a couple of the guys I was speaking to that it's one of the crazy things is that it's much, much easier to make work now than when I started out when it was film. You only had X amount of minutes because that's the only amount of film you could afford. The difficulty is that therefore lots and lots of people are making things. It's difficult for you to step outside of the norm and be recognized as somehow different from, or indeed, dare I use the word, special. So at the same time that it's easier to do, it's become much, much more competitive to get into the position where you can do.
And what would your advice then be to these young filmmakers coming up?
If you love it, keep doing it, don't give up.
And what would you have wanted the Graddies to have been around when you were at film school just starting off?
First, I wasn't at film school. I would have loved for something like this to have been available. I came into the process through an indirect route. So I started out as a journalist. I was going to be the best ever foreign correspondent until I realized that quite often the people in front of the camera weren't the ones making the decisions, and I kind of wanted to be in control of the stories that I told. So I moved from being in journalism through a very circuitous route to end up directing, and realized that that was the thing that I would want to get out of bed every single day of my life for.
Cool. And then I might just end on any message to any young filmmaker that's thinking about putting a film into the Graddies?
It's going to be tough because the competition is seriously stiff. That said, believe in what you're doing, stick to the story that you want to tell, recognize that there are very few, if any, new stories, so what makes it unique is your way of telling the story.
And then as a closer, if we could just get a little line that just says, not words in mouth, but something along the lines of, I think all film students should apply to the Graddies, or all, every, just trying to encompass the UK unis and the Graddies in a sentence.
I would say to anyone who's at a film school or wherever you're making film where you can qualify to engage with putting your work in to the Graddies, then you should. Not least because you get a sense of what it is that's required of you to achieve the kind of quality that will be required for you to move on to the next stage in your career.
Beautiful, lovely.